All right, absolutely massive news today for CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 4. We have a new cinematic, new gameplay with a ton of gameplay details, world and lore information, all sorts of good stuff today. Chapter markers will be below, and today will also mark the official day where The Witcher 4 becomes a huge focus of this channel when there are things to talk about, of course. So expect the BG3 treatment from myself with this game. I'm very excited for it, and that will include a full lore series prior to the game's launch, whenever that may be. But before we get into the gameplay tech demo, right now you can see the new cinematic playing on the screen where these two gentlemen might not be the right descriptor here, are riding in a wagon which is part of a smuggling operation. The coin that the one guy has in his hand appears to have the coat of arms for Kovir on it, which is one of the northern kingdoms known for being the largest exporter of mineral resources. And CDPR actually opens up the gameplay tech demo by confirming that Kovir is a region that we'll be exploring in the game. And all the gameplay footage in this gameplay tech demo is set in Kovir. Now, these smugglers, however, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, run into a Manticore, which is a classic Witcher monster. And of course, they are brutally murdered and eaten alive. The Manticore even picks up the entire wagon and flies way up in the air, which I thought was a nice, fun part of this scene. And then time forwards to Ciri, the game's confirmed main protagonist. Everybody should know Ciri by now. And she comes across the destroyed wagon and says this.
Salt. Almost had me fooled, Fruin.
I didn't catch exactly what the name of the person is that she said right here. It might have been Fruint or something like that. But this is the man who sent Ciri on a quest or a mission to assist the wagons, and clearly lied to Ciri and told her that she was assisting wagons that were transporting salt. Now, going into the gameplay tech demo, Ciri ends up finding this man who sent her on this quest, and it's this guy right here. And in traditional Witcher fashion, she doesn't seem too concerned about the smuggling operation going on. She is now focused on the Manticore, as Witchers are hired monster slayers. And this is the last bit of info that we get of this particular quest, but I think it's pretty cool that they tied this likely minor quest into both the cinematic here as well as the gameplay tech demonstration. Now, this man does mention that Manticores are not supposed to be found in this area, so I'm not sure if that indicates something about the story going on, but they're supposed to be found out to the east in a place in a region called Cadwyn. And if I take you guys over to a map of the Witcher world right here, you can see on the top we have Kovir and Provis, and then to the east we have Cadwyn, and this is where he is saying that Manticores should be found. So for some reason, Manticores are now, or a Manticore is way out over here in the west. So let's dive a bit deeper into the tech demo and move on from the cinematic. And the purpose of this demo is, of course, to get people excited for the game. There's a huge marketing aspect behind this, as well as a demonstration. But don't forget, a lot of this is also marketing. But it's supposed to show off how new Unreal Engine 5 technology is and how it's being utilized and created with The Witcher 4. The gameplay that you're watching, according to CDPR, is running on a standard PS5 at 60 frames per second with ray tracing. So although this is a tech demo, it also appears as if it will represent actual gameplay, at least to some degree. However, I think it's fair to remain a little bit skeptical when remembering CDPR's Cyberpunk release. Ciri is walking in Kovir right here, heading to a port town called Vahgrest. And as you can see, the world is absolutely gorgeous. It definitely has Witcher 3 vibes, but obviously with much improved visual technology at use here. But I'm very happy that this actually looks and feels like a Witcher game, as you never know what some of the bigger studios will do these days. For example, that major change in art direction and vibe that Dragon Age experienced as it became much more Disneyfied, which would be horrible for the Witcher series if you ask me. So bravo to the devs for keeping the vibe and art direction the way that I think most Witcher fans will greatly appreciate. The environments are absolutely stunning here, and Kovir is full of dense forests and wild nature. And to make all of this look and run well, we're told that the devs are utilizing Unreal Engine 5's nanite geometry technology, which has supposedly lifted many environmental constraints that the devs would have otherwise had to deal with. What you're looking at right now is nanite foliage in use, which allows CDPR to create highly dense wilderness environments while still being memory efficient with fast rendering. meaning that it shouldn't destroy our systems to load everything in here as we explore the environments. Please keep note that CDPR is praising performance capability alongside these visual improvements. And performance, like I mentioned earlier, was not a strength of Cyberpunk's launch, so as excited as I am, it'll be very interesting to see how this all turns out, and don't get mad at people for being a little bit skeptical. I think it's very fair for that. This nanite foliage technology allows the devs to model every single leaf in Pine Needle. Of course, each leaf in Pine Needle won't be unique, nor do they need to be, but there should be a crazy level of foliage detail going on in The Witcher 4. So a pine tree, for example, should have a crap ton of needles on each branch, making it look much more realistic versus a less pixelated video game. So yeah, expect highly dense environments that interact well with the game's lighting systems, which does include a dynamic sun and shadow system. Now the camera now flies down through the environments to go catch up with Ciri, and this fly through is meant to showcase how fast the world's environments load in a smooth fashion. It does make me hopeful here, as if the devs are telling the truth, this is all taking place on a standard PS5, so I'd say that's pretty impressive. Now we did actually get some more details on the horse that you see Ciri riding, and this is her horse named Kelpi, which in the lore was a magnificent black mare owned by a man named Hotspurn, who actually died in Ciri's arms. More on that in a future video. And this horse is actually summoned by rubbing a magical bracelet. Kelpi is quite the quality horse in the lore and is even known to be able to jump over 7-foot walls with ease. So it should be a great horse to run around with, and Kelpi will be to Ciri as Roach is to Geralt, of course. With the Kelpi introduction, CDPR informed us of multi-character motion matching in Unreal Engine 5, which allowed them to make Ciri and Kelpi perfectly synchronized when mounting from any angle in speed. So I'd expect quality visuals and animations when mounting in a variety of different situations that you may be in. We also learned about support root motion technology being used on Kelpi, which makes controlling Kelpi realistic and grounded. And as you can see, Kelpi actually has an entire muscle system under the skin, which with Unreal's Chaos Flesh Solver, I think is what it's called, these realistic muscles will move and stretch, and once again, according to CDPR, without compromising performance. When Ciri arrives to the village of Vahgrest, which is a hub for fishing, trade, and mining, this is when we start to see some more of the visual dense detail when it comes to NPCs and civilization in general. This is a beautiful town that has some interesting color choices going on here. You can see this one building has the blue and red boards. I'm assuming some of these colors represent Kovir. What stood out to me the most, though, during this part of the demonstration is NPC reactivity, which is something that I highly value in RPGs. I praised this a lot in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and at least in this demo, CDPR seems to be placing a huge emphasis on this aspect of the game as well, which is great to see. We see a guard spitting on the ground as Ciri walks by, likely because she's a Witcher, of course. When walking through crowds or running into NPCs, Ciri has this nice push out of the way type animation, and nothing groundbreaking here. We've seen it in The Witcher 3 as well, but there's also some nice NPC reaction animations to that I would say look really great. We have a ton of NPC dialogue reactivity going on as Ciri passes by. If you listen, you can hear NPCs commenting about her. I absolutely love how Ciri runs into this merchant right here, and she not only says pardon, but the merchant's apples in his crate spill out onto the ground in a very realistic looking manner.
Pardon.
Guys, notice how responsive the world.
CDPR says that character actions directly affect what happens around you, sometimes even setting off chain reactions. One thing I really appreciate here about Vahgrest is, like the wilderness, there's a lot of density going on in this town. You don't really see any empty areas or anything that doesn't look like it has much detail to it. The textures are very nice. There's a lot of items in places where it makes sense to have items and models. There's a ton of NPCs around, which really helps with that busy market street vibe. All NPCs that I can see are moving, and they are moving realistically, some of them fighting with each other. Look at this merchant right here. He's not just standing at his merchant stall, he's actually leaning over, doing his trade. And also don't miss the two-limb guy. He's clearly missing a leg and an arm and hobbling around with his cane. Also, NPCs all appear in this demonstration to be very unique from one another as well. Let's hope they keep that up throughout the entire game and in the raw gameplay that we get to see in the future. CDPR pans the camera away from Ciri over to a fish trader and shows us that there's all sorts of conversations going on, many of which are not even related to Ciri, which of course adds to that immersion and realness of the world and the NPCs. We get to see how throughout the day NPCs will go about their day differently and do different things from one another. And we have the center wood platform right here, which serves as a pillory at some point of the day, as well as a stage for a circus. And over time, the crowd for the circus gets larger and larger, with CDPR saying that they have over 300 NPCs, or skeletal mesh agents as they call them, all animated and going about their business in the same general area while maintaining 60 FPS on this standard PS5. All this level of quality and detail and density is possible supposedly because of Unreal Engine 5's smart object technology, chaos cloth technology, animation framework, and much more. CDPR says that the gap in quality between Ciri, our player character, and just general NPCs has been greatly closed in. They've been focusing on making that gap much closer. And that's, of course, spectacular to see in this demonstration as well as hear from the devs. But once again, let me just remind everyone that this is a tech demonstration, and although it does appear to be actual gameplay in the standard PS5, the devs might not be telling us certain things. This is a highly scripted presentation right here in what they say and what they show off and stuff like that. So we're going to have to wait to see some raw gameplay that's not scripted like this in the future to really confirm all of this. But I mean, as of right now, this is of course good. CDPR is really pushing a world that has come to life here with systems in the game that us players expect to actually be in the game. And I'd say it's all very, very cool to see and hear about. And CDPR is certainly capable of doing this. They have the resources, and this new Unreal Engine 5 technology seems to be quite the technology for CDPR to be able to go above and beyond previous releases of theirs. This is supposedly going to bring a new generation of open world RPGs to the market in general, the Unreal Engine 5 technology, which is exciting to think about, especially for other games as well, with The Witcher 4 being the most immersive and ambitious open world Witcher game ever made. So let's hold them to that. The ending scene of the gameplay tech demo leaves us all with some wanderlust on this vista as Ciri looks out into the distance, where we can see this medieval castle-looking city, which is called Lan Exeter, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is known as the Winter Capital, and it's a major port city in Kovir. Taking a look once again at this map, you can see Kovir up here. Right next to the text, we have Lan Exeter. But I should also point here that directly to the south is Pont Vanus, which is actually known as the summer capital. So we have the winter capital and the summer capital. Maybe we'll be going to both of these places. I'm not entirely sure just yet, but if we do, I think that'll offer some nice contrast in environments and city structure. And that's where we're at with The Witcher 4. I didn't expect to see this much. I thought we are going to get like a few screenshots or something like that, but double thumbs up for the presentation. In my opinion, I'm very, very, very excited right now. Like, I feel like a new fire has been lit inside me, it's so amazing to feel this, because I've gone through periods where I'm super excited to do YouTube and talk about games to periods where I just feel like my job is stupid and it's boring. I feel that flame kind of lit again, because I am someone who really gets excited about big, dense RPGs, and The Witcher 4 appears to be one of these RPGs. And I'm going to be diving, and I'm going to be reading the books later today. I'm going to be replaying all the games, and I'm just so excited to kind of give my brain to everything Witcher leading up to The Witcher 4's release, which will include a full lore series. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next Witcher 4 video. Peace.